Hey, what's up everybody? This is Osterberg501 and today I want to go over a quick guide for the Casual Guardian Raid event. Now the day 1 and day 2 versions of these fights are different and most likely they're going to change again because there are more raid bosses that are going to be a part of this event. So I'm going to go over the fights for the first 2 days and this should give you a good idea of what to look for all of the different fights for this event because they're all going to work in similar ways, and I'm going to try to keep this as general as possible so you're able to figure out the upcoming fights when the bosses are changed out again. So the basis of this event is that it is a scaled Guardian Raid fight, so anybody 250 eye level and above can join. You'll be facing off against 3 Guardian Raid bosses instead of 1, but their scaling is quite a bit different, so you're not going to be taking near as much damage. And then there's a new mechanic specific to this event, and that is different depending on what bosses you're fighting. So how these fights work is that one of the bosses is much more important than the others. The other 2 are basically just meat shields. And if you do the specific mechanics the fights want you to do against that one specific boss, you will earn you and your group massive buffs. So massive you'll just start to crit like 20 plus million every single hit. And the special boss will spawn in shortly after you go and engage one of the other bosses in the arena. So for day 1, the important boss was the Scorpion. So you would go engage one of the bosses and the Scorpion would spawn in a little bit after. And what you would want to do here is you would want to stagger the Scorpion so the Scorpion gets staggered, is laying on the ground, and when any of the Scorpion bosses are staggered, their tail becomes destroyable. So you use any weak point abilities on the tail, or you use weak point grenades such as destruction grenades, and you want to break the tail. Now in this fight, anytime you break that tail is when you will start to get these stacking buffs, and these buffs can stack up 3 times and are absolutely massive. The first buff is Enhanced Recovery, which reduces your skill cost by 30%, stacks up 3 times, and your MP recovery increases with every single one of those stacks. You gain Physical Enhancement, which increases your attack power, stagger damage, and crit rate. This can stack up 3 times, and when at maximum stacks, you get 800% increased attack power, 500% stagger damage, and 60% crit rate increases. Then the third buff is Enhanced Speed. It increases your attack and move speed while decreasing your skill cooldowns. This stacks up 3 times, and when at max stacks, you gain attack and move speed plus 40% and skill cooldown minus 70%. So getting these buffs turns you and your group into complete gods. Now after you break the tail once, the Scorpion will go immune and go back into the ground for a little bit, so you just damage the other bosses while the Scorpion is gone. When the Scorpion comes back, break its tail again, you get a second stack. And for every group I've been in, after we break the second tail, we usually end up killing the bosses before we get to killing the Scorpion. So once you get to 2 stacks, you'll most likely be killing all the bosses before needing to get a 3rd stack. Now that was the fight and bosses for day 1. Now for day 2, all the bosses are different, and the important boss for day 2 is the turtle. And you're doing pretty much the same thing as you were on day 1. But day 2 is just a little bit more simple because all you're doing is using destruction skills on the turtle to knock it down and break its shell. Once you break its shell, you get a stack of those buffs. It's going to do the same thing as a Scorpion. Once you break its shell the first time, it's going to go under. You're just going to fight the bosses normally for a little bit until it comes back up. Once it comes back up, you break its shell again. And like with the first day, pretty much all the groups I've been in, after we break the shell a second time, we usually kill the other bosses before we get a 3rd stack of the buff, and usually end up killing the turtle before we get a 3rd stack as well. And that is legitimately all you have to do for these fights. Now, like I mentioned, there are a bunch of other bosses that they mentioned are going to be a part of this event. So they most likely are going to be cycling in more bosses in this, and the important boss is probably going to change as well. So just figure out what the important boss is, do that specific mechanic, you will get those massive buffs, and this will easily allow you to kill all the bosses very, very quickly. And that's pretty much all you're going to have to do for every boss of this event. And most likely the important bosses are going to be something similar to the Scorpions or the turtles, that there's something you can destroy off of them or something similar to that. And I know this may seem simple to a lot of you guys, but there have been dozens and dozens and dozens of Reddit posts and forum posts of people thinking this event sucks because they don't know how to do it and they think it's impossible. This event is actually really fun in my opinion when you learn how to do it. Getting these massive buffs buffs, and fighting a bunch of bosses at once just ends up being really fun. It's something that's really quick, and you can get in and out when you know how to do it. And if you didn't see my last video, you're able to do this event on every single character once per day. In the patch notes, it was said that this event would only be once per roster per day, but it is once per character. So you can go do it on all of your characters and get the event currencies. And I think you have to complete this event 11 times per week to buy out the vendor. So I'd recommend doing this on a few alts so you can hit that 11 times to be able to get everything from the vendor. But that's all I want to go over for this video. So subscribe if you want to see more Lost Ark or other MMO videos. Leave a like if you liked the video. Leave a comment down below what you guys think about this event, and thanks for watching.